Next time you see this plant in your backyard, don't cut it down, because this is the best natural painkiller you'll ever find. Some people even compare it to morphine.
Wait a minute, what?
This common plant is called wild lettuce. It was commonly used by Native Americans 2 centuries ago for both food and medicine. So today, I'm going to show you how to make a simple wild lettuce extract. Collect about 50 leaves and wash them thoroughly. Grind them up in a blender. Place the ground leaves into a wide pot. Add just enough water to cover them. Stir for 15 minutes until the water reaches a dark brown color. Pour this substance while it's still hot into another pot through a strainer. Try to squeeze as much water as you can. Warm it over low heat again until the water is vaporized, until it becomes a paste like this. Put it in a small glass container. Wild lettuce is unscheduled by the FDA, meaning it's legal to grow, own, and forage without a prescription or license, just like how the Native Americans used to heal their pain.
When the medical system collapses, this will be the only option you have to heal yourself. This is exactly the kind of information I found in this 350-page book called The Lost Ways. This is probably the only survival book I've actually enjoyed reading. I personally happen to know the man behind this book. Claude is an old-fashioned guy by any standard. He lives with his wife and 2 children in a log cabin he personally built. Cooks outside on an open flame in a cauldron most of the time, and all of his clothes are handmade. He has a 150-square-foot root cellar stuffed with all sorts of homemade canned foods and goods, and he raises cows, sheep, and chickens. I thought several times to myself that this guy will never be troubled by any crisis, because the coming crisis we all prep for is what folks 150 years ago called daily life. No electrical power, no refrigerators, no internet, no computers, no TV, no active law enforcement. They got things done or else we wouldn't be here.
Do you know what lard is actually made of? This food saved America during the Great Depression. It's high in calories and the healthy fats your body needs during hard times. And it's long-lasting without refrigeration. It kept our forefathers alive, especially during the 1930s, when it was commonly used for frying, baking, and even for preserving meat. So what happens when you boil down pork fat? You get lard. And it's super easy to do right in your own kitchen. Here's how. Take a quality fat source, such as pork belly, and cut it into strips. Place the pieces in a pot with a little water and melt slowly over low heat until the fat is totally rendered. Strain it through a sieve and pour the melted fat into an empty glass jar. To use it for preserving meat, simply submerge cooked meat in a jar of lard. The fat will prevent it from spoiling and also make it taste even better. Many people think lard is unhealthy, but it's actually lower in saturated fat than butter. It's also a good source of vitamin D. We no longer know how to live without refrigerators, without cars, without phones, or without supermarkets. What will you do tomorrow if you simply are unable to buy things? I sometimes even think we're kidding ourselves. With our bug-out bags and with our 3-day food rations, wouldn't we be better off looking at what the pioneers took with them when they traveled from Independence, Missouri all the way to Oregon City? Game meat was unreliable even then. So don't think that they made this 5-month journey counting only on that. If your life depended on this, what bug-out bag would you take with you? I know I would stick with what the pioneer had with him. He had to travel weeks on end without much help while taking cover from some native tribes at the same time. And this is just a small, tiny example. I don't want to see our forefathers' knowledge disappear into the darkness of time. If you care for your family and what America stands for, then neither should you. I wanted to unearth and learn the forgotten ways of our great-grandparents. So I came up with this great idea to edit all my manuscripts to turn all this lost knowledge into one of the greatest books of this century, The Lost Ways, saving our forefathers' skills. By knowing the ways of our forefathers, believe it or not, you're covered for anything. You'll never have to spend money on any prepping material again. Forget about unreliable and expensive modern survival equipment. Why even bother reinventing the wheel when these things have been working right for centuries? The Lost Ways prepares you to deal with worst-case scenarios with a minimum amount of resources, just like our forefathers lived their lives, totally independent from electricity, cars, and modern technology whatsoever. You'll have the power to protect and save your family, even to rebuild your community during the worst of times. Click on the button below and secure your copy. Well, this presentation is still running. Don't let this knowledge disappear into the darkness of time, because in the next next crisis, when death will stare you in the eye, this is the only time-tested life vest that you and your family can hang on to. We're not used to thinking about what to eat or how to procure food for our children. Again, don't take anything for granted because we're living in good times now. Our grandfathers and great-grandfathers were the last generation to practice the basic things that we call survival skills now. Our grandparents didn't pass these skills on to us in our bloodstream, and neither will you to your children or your nieces and nephews. Take advantage of this presentation while it's still up and save the lost ways by clicking on the button below. You're the only one that can change something.